Great, almost forgot to turn the mic on. Okay, in Chapter 4, you will not follow the directions and do the drawing in the chapter, but you will complete the exercise on page 4-30, Floor Plan A. The chapter has you complete a plan using multi-lines, which are very difficult to use on an architectural drawing. But they can be useful for roads on a civil drawing or a drawing where you're mapping out power lines, something like that. Open AutoCAD, and some of the defaults in the status bar are exactly what you want. You want dynamic input on, you want polar on, you want object snap on, and then let's add object snap tracking. You will want those four things on. Type the word units, and for this drawing you've probably already guessed you want architectural units. Now you have a small building that is 35 feet wide, and that's not going to fit in this drawing area, is it? Because this drawing area is 12 inches by 9 inches. So type the word limits, I like the lower left corner at 0, 0. That keeps my origin down here in the left. So just press enter. The upper right corner is what's going to set the size of your drawing area. This is where you will type 60 feet, comma, 40 feet. Single quote for the feet. You need the foot sign or AutoCAD will assume you mean 60 inches. Okay. Most important thing here now would be to do the extents. Because right now I'm looking at 12 inches by 9 inches. Well, first I guess we're going to go to snap settings. You aren't really concerned with anything on the snap side. On the grid side, put a check in front of 2D model space. Up here, type 12, that'll be 12 inches. And if you click down here, they'll both be 1 foot. Okay. And you still don't see a single dot. That's because I haven't done the extents yet. I'm looking at 12 inches by 9 inches. If I come over here and click extents, now I'm looking at my entire drawing area. Now you're ready to start the drawing. You can start this drawing anywhere, and it's not going to snap to the dots because snap is not turned on. So I'm going to start with a line, and I'm just going to start somewhere near the upper left to get my top line. Make sure that this green line shoots out so I know I'm going straight, and I'm going to type 35 feet and enter. Now make sure the green line shoots down, and in the book the dimension says 25 feet 5 inches. To enter that information so that AutoCAD understands it, type 25 single quote and then no space and just a 5. You don't need the inch sign. AutoCAD assumes inches. When you enter the information for AutoCAD, you won't put hyphens between feet and inches. If you apply a dimension using a dimensioning tool, then it'll have a hyphen. Entering it for AutoCAD, you'd only use the hyphen if you're adding a fraction after the inches. Drag to the left, 14 feet 3, down 3 feet, and enter after each one of these, over 7 feet and enter. Okay, I'm not going to move up 3 feet. This particular length is a dimension that's not given in your drawing, so you have to figure out what it is. This right side over here is 25 feet 5 inches, and the left side is 25 feet. So how far up is this line going to go? Yes, 3 feet 5. Then over how far? 13 feet 9? Okay. If you happen to draw a line incorrect, like, ooh, I clicked right there, I didn't mean to, just right-click and undo just that last segment, so you don't have to undo everything. Okay, now it looks like 13 feet 9, and I should be able to come right up here and click when I see that little green X. Could be a green box, could be a green X. That's the outline of the house. If you notice right next to where it says floor plan A, it says all the walls have a 5-inch thickness. So rather than typing offset and picking each wall and offsetting it 5 inches, how about if we come up here under modify and select join. Now just click here, let go, and click here and enter. So the whole house is one big polyline. Now I can select offset and type 5 and enter. Pick the outline and pick to the center. Pull way to the inside and click. I'm not going to draw the entire floor plan, but I'll draw the top 3 rooms up here, and I'll draw some doors and put some windows in. Okay, this room in the upper right, from the inside wall to the wall, from this inside wall right here to the wall right across is 10 feet 2 inches. Okay. Offset 10 feet 2, enter. If I offset right now and type in 10 feet 2, I would get something like this. Not what I want, right? That's because that entire outline is joined together. Let me undo that. So erase that or undo it, and then right up here under erase, select explode, and let's pick both outlines and enter. It's actually the answer to one of your chapter questions. You use explode to break it back up into individual line segments. Okay, and now I'm going to offset 10 feet 2 and enter, and now I can just pick a single line and offset it over. Now we're going to offset this line down, okay? Offset 13 feet 11. All right. I could use anything to trim up this corner. I could use trim or fillet as long as the radius is set at 0, which that's the default. Okay. And then I can offset 5 inches. So here I'll do the fillet. Offset 5 inches to the outside in each direction. This way and that way. And fillet also works on 2 lines that don't meet each other. I guess that's why I like fillet. It can be a trim or an extend. Okay. We're also going to do some wall cleanup. That's what we call it in architecture. By using the trim command, trim, press enter so everything's a cutting edge, and trimming out this little section right here and this little section over here. Okay, now we're going to offset to get the other side of the bathroom. 5 feet 10 inches wide. And we may as well offset the 5 inches to get the thickness. Just pull way over in this direction when you offset so it doesn't offset the wrong way. The next room is 9 foot 7 inches by 9 foot 7 inches. Okay. Offset 9 feet 7. offset this line to the left and this line below. Okay. Let's fillet these two bottom inside corners of the room. Fillet here and here. Okay. And then we'll offset these two walls 5 inches for the thickness. 5 out this way, 5 out this way, and then I'm going to fillet this corner. If I press enter, it puts me back in fillet, and this corner. All right. And some trimming to do up here. More wall cleanup, right? Okay, now the bathroom wall, whoops, this one right here is 8 feet. Okay. So I'm going to offset it 8 feet. And I still have to offset it down 5 inches, don't I? Okay, that gives us a few rooms, and then, we use the trim command to clean up everything. Wall cleanup. So wherever walls touch each other, if there's any lines that cross or anything like that, they're going to get trimmed out. Let's make some door openings. For all the door openings, let's use tracking. We have polar tracking turned on right down here, and object snap tracking is turned on. For the first door, track down from this corner, you're going to 10 feet 7 inches to get one side of the door opening. Be in the line command, but don't click at this corner, just hover. And then if you see this green dotted line, that means you're tracking. So I'm tracking in this direction. I'm not drawing anything, just tracking. Hang on to the mouse with your right hand so it doesn't move off the track. And then with your left hand, type 10 feet 7 and enter. Okay. Swing your mouse around so you can see, what point you track to, and then click to the other side of the wall when the little X shows up and enter. That green X shows up because you have polar turned on right here. It's a 2'8" door, so you'll need to offset 2'8". And trim and press enter and trim out the door opening. I want you to see that again, so I'm going to do the door opening for the bathroom. Line command, tracking from this corner, not clicking, type 2 feet 6, come up here and click, offset 2 feet 8, whoops, and enter, offset 2 feet 8, trim, press enter. Okay. Okay, so that's basically it for the doors. The last door tracks from this outside corner 7 feet. It only gets offset 2 feet 4. Smaller door, and it gets trimmed. All right, let's make some doors. The doors are all at 45 degrees. Polar is already turned on down here in the status bar. You can right-click on it or select the little triangle here, and make sure you click right here so that it shows you every 45 degrees. Because the default, it would be that it was set, on 90. So click here, you'll see every 45 degrees. Select the line command. Click when the O-snap symbol shows up at the door hinge. Swing out till you see a green dotted line. There it is, going at a 45-degree angle. And then type 2 feet 8 because you want the door to be the same length as the door opening. Enter to end the line command. Let's do another door over here. Click where the hinge will be, swing around till you see the green line and type 2 feet 8 and enter. So the door to this room is the only interior door that's a different size, 2 feet 4. And the 2 exterior doors are 3-foot doors. Let's move to the arc you'll be using for the door swings. Start, center, end, right here. You just have to remember that your starting point and your ending point must move in a counterclockwise direction. Center will always be where the door hinges. So that would make your start right here. Your center will be where the door hinges. And this will be your end. And oh, I don't even have to enter it. Ended the command. This is really a terrible door. The hinge should be on the other side so that when you open the door, it opens against the wall. Okay, the last arc you selected is right here at the top, so you can get it right here. Let's see, if this one was going to go counterclockwise, it would have to start here, center where it hinges, and here's where it ends. Once more. Whoops. Start, center, end. Now sometimes your starting point might have to be here and your end point here. Whatever you need to do to move counterclockwise. One of the reasons I did the bathroom is so I can show you that you don't have to draw the tub or the stool or the sink. We're going to get them from a place in AutoCAD called Design Center. It's a place where AutoCAD has stored many small drawings called blocks that can be inserted into any drawing. The quickest way to get to Design Center is to type DC and enter. Oh, I must have been in the middle of a command, right? Okay. Okay, that is not how it's going to look when you open it up. Okay, there. The first time you go into Design Center, it's going to look like this. Okay? You will have to double click on this folder right here that says ENUS. Then you want to double click on the folder that says Design Center. Then you move over to the left side where the tree is. Click on the plus symbol here in front of Design Center. So now you can see the list under Design Center, all the different kinds of folders with blocks and stuff like that. Oh, you can see there's some that have fasteners, there's some that have kitchen appliances, some have trees and shrubs for landscaping, some even have welding symbols. Click the plus in front of House Designer and then click on Blocks. Okay. Here are some of the blocks in House Designer. You need a toilet from the top view, so click on that. And then click and hold down on the blue highlighted text and drag. Okay. There it is. You need a tub. This tub is way too large. It says it's 26 by 60 inches, but it's actually 36 by 60 inches. But it's what we have, so we'll deal with it. Okay. And this is the only sink we have It's a pedestal sink. We'll use that. You could also drag a faucet out and put it on top of it if you'd like to. I'm going to close this dialog box now. Okay, since we have all these... Oh, let me go back there for a minute. Later on in the book, we'll use this button in the corner, and we'll go into Autodesk Seek. There are a lot more of these blocks there because it's an online location, and there are blocks from individual manufacturers, like Anderson Window, things like that. Now close the dialog box. Let's see. All three of these items will have to be rotated and moved. Here's the rotate button. Here's the move button. Rotate. Select the tub and enter. Pick a corner. There. Drag around until you see the orientation you want and click. Let's rotate the toilet. Rotate. Pick this object and enter. Pick a base point. Anywhere for a base point. See, it looks, whoa. There. Looks kind of good when I have a green line going this way. Click. Now we're going to rotate the sink. Maybe I will move the faucet onto it first. Okay. So when I rotate the sink, I want to get both of them. Rotate. Get the sink and faucet. Enter. Grab it somewhere for a base point. And then rotate. Okay, let's move the tub first because it's big. Move. Select the tub and enter. Select the top right corner with an O-snap for the base point and move it to this end point in the room. Okay. Because the tub ended up being so large, we're going to change the stool and the sink around so that they fit. We'll move, select the toilet and enter, grab a base point, put it next to the tub just by eye. You're just eyeballing it. Okay. And we'll move the sink by the door. Move. Let's select these and enter. Base point. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, I think if the toilet was down here, the door opening would almost hit it. If you were sitting there and somebody opened the door, they'd break your legs. Okay, this room down in the left corner here. If you offset up 9 feet to come on, you can do it. Make sure you offset 5 from there. Make sure you offset up. Way up, I'll click. And the right side wall is just an extension of these 2 lines here, so I can use fillet. From here to here, and from here to here. I'd have to zoom in here and do some wall cleanup. So that would be a quick way of drawing this room. Okay. And you know you have a door that goes here, door that, oh, more wall cleanup. All right. Okay. Up in this left corner is a wall that starts 4 feet down. So let's use tracking. Line command. Hang around here for a minute. Start tracking down. Type 4 feet and enter. And then drag to the right and type 4 feet 4. You still haven't really done any clicking, have you? Drag down and type 5 and enter. And drag back to the left, and when you see the green X, click. Yeah, it's the first click, isn't it? This is going to get trimmed out too. I think you're ready to do a couple windows, and then I'll show you how to check for errors with the measure tool. Okay, and how to use the wonderful stretch tool. The first window will be the one on the upper right side of the wall. The only dimensions you have are that it's a 4-foot window, and the middle of the window is 7 feet 5 inches from that top corner. I could track. That would be one thing I could do. Line, hover, track, 7 feet 5. Come over to here. So that's the middle of the window. I would have to offset 2 feet in each direction, wouldn't I? That's one way of doing it anyhow. Click up and down. Sometimes when I click up, I also click over a little bit, just so that an O-snap doesn't pull it way up to the end of that line or something like that. You don't need the middle line, so erase it. They don't give you any specific instructions for finishing these windows, so this might be, something you want to jot down. Each one of these short lines will offset 5 inches toward one another. So 5 inches toward the inside of the window. See, and I am clicking, and I'm clicking up, but I'm also clicking over. And then get your line command and do that old shift and right click thing, and from the midpoint of here, come down and you'll get a green X showing at the other end. And another thing you could do, instead of doing the center point of a window, you could do the math. Like, I guess the window down here. It's 6 foot 6 inches to the center of the window, and the window happens to be 5 feet. So once you get over 6 foot 6 inches for the midpoint of the window, I would have to come back 2 feet 6 inches. So 6 foot 6 minus 2 foot 6 is 4 feet. So that's another way I could do it. I could line track over 4 feet. Come up, straight up, and offset that 5 feet to the left. I'd have to offset both of those 5 inches toward one another. And then align, shift and right click from midpoint of here to the midpoint of here. Now, anything that you can figure out to save you drawing time is great. Maybe I could copy this window to the other side where there's also a 5-foot window. In that case, the 6 foot 6 offsets from the outside walls might be helpful. It gives me a base point. So you could select copy. Okay, offset 6 foot 6. Trim this off. Here's copy. I'll select this with a blue window so it won't select the walls, and enter. I'll shift and right click and get the midpoint of this and bring it, shift and right click, to the midpoint of this. But I would have to remember then to erase this. Okay. Something else I could have done, probably. Let's find out. Copy. I grab my base point right here. Can I track along here and type 4 feet? I can. Oh gosh, that's even easier. Okay. Okay, now what if something was incorrect? Okay. Let's set it up and make this incorrect. So then you go to put your doorway in, and I would be tracking over 7 feet, and it starts putting in my doorway right here. And if I offset 2'4" and trim it out, put in the door and everything, it says there's another door. I guess this one that's getting hinged on the wrong side anyhow. Actually, I think they're assuming I didn't put this door in yet. So let's take this door out. What if that door wasn't there? Okay. Joining these together. Join. And these two. Join. Okay. So there's telling me to track over 7 feet. Ugh, what did I type? Let's just say I had drawn this room the wrong size. I track over 7 feet. I offset 2'4". Trim it out and everything. Okay, so then it looks like I'm putting the door in. 2'4". Putting in my arc. This is what would happen if I had my start here and my center here and my end here. See, if I go clockwise, I get something like that. Ooh, not good, right? Okay. So start, center, end. Okay. Okay, so to check this room, because the door looks a lot closer to the corner than it does in my textbook. So to check this room, under measure, I would use distance. Whoa, sorry about that. Click in the upper left corner here. Move down to the lower wall, 9'7", that looks good. Move over to the other wall, oh, it's 9'2" instead of 9'7". This is not correct. So that means this wall has to be moved to the left 5 inches, right? Okay, here is the stretch command, my very favorite command. It just has saved me more redrawing time than anything in this whole program. When you use stretch, you have to do a green window, so it has to go from right to left. Where that window cuts through, those 2 places on the top wall and that 1 place on the bottom wall, that's where it's going to be stretched. Well, in that case, my door would still be in the wrong spot. So let's do this again. Stretch. There. Now everything inside the window, it's going to stretch those two places on the top wall, and you can see which place it's going to stretch out on the bottom wall. Click the other corner, enter. I can click any place for a base point. Just make sure I'm moving in a straight line to the left when I type 5 and enter. Okay. The measurement should now be, voila, 9'7". And you don't have to do any trimming or anything. Okay. The other way that I could have done that is like this. I could have stretched just the wall, enter, click 5 and enter, and then I could have done a separate stretch for the doorway, like this. Yeah, it looks like I'm over far enough. You know, you want to make sure that you're over far enough right here. Okay. Enter, click, drag this way, and type 5. So it could have been in 2 operations. And the door opening lines and the door swing, they were all inside of the green window because they just have to be moved with everything else. They don't have to be stretched. So now if I measure, that door opening should be 7 feet, yes, from the corner. So the measure command is something you can use to check your work if something's incorrect. More than likely you can use the stretch command to correct it. With this information, and one more thing, okay, I would like you to offset 2 feet, this line right here out. I think that's a kitchen counter right there. So this is enough information for you to complete the drawing as shown on page 4-30. You'll just have to add a couple of exterior doors, a couple more interior doors, and the rest of the windows.